when we look at this attachment relationship, what is a secure attachment relationship? Because I can't deal with a child's sensory system if I'm not also looking at relationships. Because relationships and sensory goes hand in hand. Most success we've had is a team approach. So I want parents involved in a good way, not to become a teacher, not to become a therapist, but to become a relational expert. Somebody that knows and understands their child's cues. This seeking security and comfort, being contingent, being available, nurturing, being a co-conspirator in the life of development. That's what this stage requires of parenting. So if you have a avoidant attachment pattern in a child, that could look very different for different kids. If you have a child who is, well, basically, let me just put it this way. An avoidant attachment profile is that kid in your center that you see that would rather do everything by themselves. And they don't really want your interference. Perfectly happy playing with things on their own and watching you from the side, right? And not interfering. They have learned over the years that if I reach out for emotional care, it may not be available. So I'd rather just take care of it myself. And of course, when I have developmental delay, what does that look like? How autonomous can I be? How frustrating is that? So that can often end up in disruptive and disorganized behavior because it's just not even possible for a child to do everything themselves if they're still in the process of learning. And so if they have a hyper profile, they may tend to look, and sensory seekers, they may tend to look for information that they can help themselves with. If they have a hypo profile, they may regard things with a bit more apathy, just not involved, just not responding. Now, if you have the insecure ambivalent profile, this one says, well, forget about the task. I just want to be with a person. So many times families will talk about this type of profile as clingy, as needy, right? And basically the mantra for that child is, if I stay close to the relationship, I can know that it will be there when I'm around. But if I move away from the relationship, I'm not certain what I'm going to find when I go back, right? And so you can see how understanding these attachment profiles will also depend on what kind of sensory profile they have. So if you have a sensory hyper profile, but you're ambivalent, right, you will be extremely clingy. You will be at the parent's bathroom door when she's going to the bathroom, never sleeping alone on your own bed, right? So all of those pieces will be so hard. Separation anxiety. If you have a hypo profile, they may lack assertiveness. They will always be around, but they will be shy. They will mold into the woodworks. Also not a good idea. They may not be the squeaky wheel and shout for that attention, but they will become lost. So looking at those different profiles and looking how the sensory systems evolve around that is incredibly helpful. Then you have the disorganized pattern, the one where anything goes. Today we may be ambivalent, tomorrow we may be avoidant. Today I might just, whatever you get is what you're going to get. Then you also have to look at the important research that came out with, I think it's Marco Iacoboni, when he brought out the research on his book. His book is called Empathy, and he talks about the mirror neurons that we all have available in our brainstem when we are born. And those mirror neurons are looking for emulating and imitating our caregiving. That baby is absolutely wakened up. That baby doesn't have a sense of self until they start viewing themselves the way we are viewing them. Not what we say, it's what we do. And so our caregiving pattern, our empathy pattern starts at birth, from the way that somebody has empathized with us, has mentalized with us. If I don't repair this empathy cycle, this place of being in the partnership of the caregiving relationship between the baby and the parent, or the whoever the significant caregiver is, If we don't repair that, if we don't get to a semblance of order there, it's so hard to become social. So hard to apply myself in a relational, balanced way. The intrinsic motivation to grow up comes from this contingency. It comes from this, I want to grow up. I want to be a part of life because I have a mommy that tells me I am worthy. I'm a baby and I'm worthy. Of course, we're not saying that to ourselves, but that's the experience you want the child to have. So really, to wrap up this session for us from this first stage of the developmental theory, it is the baby's dilemma is, am I secure? Am I safe? That's the question. If we look at early development and we can first look at this, we are already well on our way. I think it's Bonnie Badenoch that said in one of her webinars that I was attending, who said that safety is the therapy. And as a therapist, I've had to really grapple with that because I have to get activities. I have to teach them to write. I have to teach them to do this. I have to teach them to do a jumping jack. And I had to grapple with, if I can't get them safe, they're not going to be available to learn from me. And so I must answer as a therapist. I must answer the baby's need, the child's need, whether they are 7 years old, 14 years old, 2 years old, 32 years old. First answer, does this person feel safe with you? If not, what is the reason? Until next time, take care.